The global gambling industry is huge. It was estimated to have been worth about $400 billion in 2014 alone, and that was with growth year on year of about 3%. Within that, online gambling is thought to account for about 35 billion, and that shows growth rates well in excess of the broader market at 8.7%. Taking it again a further step into mobile gambling, mobile gambling is estimated to have grown at a compound annual growth rate of 27%, and that's continuing at the moment. And it's estimated that by 2018, mobile gambling will be worth $19 billion per annum in its own right and contribute over 40% to the global online gambling market. Importantly, operators do believe that mobile gambling is growing the market rather than just cannibalizing online spend. And that's really important because what it means is that the companies that get it right, the operators that get it right, have a lot more revenue that they can potentially chase. And it makes sense because what mobile is actually doing is not just offering existing players the opportunity to play anytime, anywhere, with the advantages that come with that, it's also bringing in a new class of more casual gamblers into the market that haven't previously been reachable. I mean, ultimately, we're moving to a mobile-first world. Google declared itself a mobile-first company all the way back in 2009, and as is often the case, the rest of the world is starting to follow, and the gambling industry is no different. Smartphone and tablet adaptation has been massive. It's estimated that by 2017, there'll be 3.5 billion smartphones and 900 million tablets in circulation around the world. You know, that is a hell of a lot of reach for the mobile channel. And this has largely been enabled by the fact that technology has improved smartphones to the point that they offer a much more immersive experience at much, much cheaper prices than was the case before. So whereas when smartphones were first released, you were looking at really high unit cost prices, these have come down to, in some cases, below $100, putting it within the economic reach of many, many more people. Aside from that, within the UK in particular, the rise of 4G over the last 12 months has been significant and has been another key growth driver. And what 4G means is that developers are able to develop games that are much more sophisticated and much more smooth in the running as well. So it's a much greater and richer experience for the mobile game player. And finally, the demand for entertainment on the move is growing year on year and is stronger than ever. So increasingly, people want to fill their downtime, whether they're on their commute to and from work or even just relaxing on the sofa at home, with forms of gaming and gambling entertainment. And actually, in a recent survey that was done in the UK, it showed that when people were asked what was their reason for gambling online, 4 of the top 5 reasons related specifically to entertainment-focused responses. If we look at the UK market, which is probably the most mature and has the greatest availability of data, we find that sports betting is the primary vertical within the mobile gaming space, and it represents 47% of the market, or it's estimated to. That makes sense because for sports betting, what you're really looking to do is present the odds on the available fixtures, let's say if we're talking about football, in a clear and concise manner, and that is very easy to do. You don't need particularly sophisticated or technologically advanced hardware to be able to do that. However, as the smartphone and tablet experience has improved in recent years, what we've seen is a rapid take-up and adoption of other gambling product verticals. And now we see that casino represents 26% of the market, bingo 16% of the market, and poker 11% of the market, with casino and bingo growing particularly strongly. Da Vinci once said that simplicity is the height of sophistication, and that's no more true than in the mobile channel. The primary success factor above all others is the quality of the user experience, and there are 4 key factors that are important in that. The first one being simplicity, in that it has to be really easy to use. Secondly, it has to be entertaining. It's no different to online. It's no different to if somebody was to walk into a casino or into a bingo club. The user has to find it to be a fun experience. There's also consistency. Talking about walking into a casino or walking into a bingo club, a user wants to find the core of the game playing features that they find in the offline space and also in the online space on the desktop when they move into mobile. They don't want to find that they have to relearn the core tenets of the game. And finally, security is really important. People want to be clear that when they're handing over their personal details and especially their bank details, that they're not opening themselves up to undue risk of fraud, etc. The first challenge that operators need to overcome is the fact that there are different operating systems. So if you're going to develop a native app, which is the way in which you create the most immersive experience, you have to be thinking at the very least about developing a solution for the iPhone and also for the Android operating systems. And these require a completely different coding. Secondly, the fact that, particularly on Android, there are so many different screen sizes, and each one of these screen sizes needs to be tested for and optimized for. And that means it's a lot of man hours, a lot of cost in doing so to make sure that the experience is replicated across these different screen sizes. Finally, the continued rapid innovation that's taken place in mobile hardware means that even when you develop a solution that works today, you can very well find yourself in 6 or 12 months' time with a product that is rapidly becoming obsolete because it's no longer taking advantage of the new features that are available on whether it be the iPhone 5, 6 or next year's 7. There are a number of ways in which investors can gain exposure to the growth that's currently available in mobile gambling, across various different product verticals and also business models. So that could be in the B2C space, where within this report we've profiled Stride Gaming, Gaming Realms, and also 32Red, with the first two being active particularly in the bingo space and 32Red more in the casino space. Secondly, there are the B2B operators that largely providing the software that forms the foundation of everything that happens in online and mobile gambling. And within the report, we've profiled Playtech, who are the #1 provider at the moment. But there are also, smaller niche players that are carving out a role for themselves, specifically focused on mobile, and Nectan being one of those, and they've also been profiled. And finally, we have the more traditional land-based gambling operators that are now actually bringing together their online and mobile offerings within what's widely termed the omni-channel approach within the industry. And within the report, we've profiled William Hill on the sports betting side and also Rank Group, who are very active in casino and bingo. Further innovation. I mean, that's happening on the hardware side, where we're seeing, new channels such as wearables with the recently released iWatch. And at the moment, the operators and developers are still trying to find the best way in which to optimize and make the best use of this new channel, but that's something to look at. Further down the line in hardware, there's also the oncoming virtual reality channel. Facebook recently paid a lot of money for a company called Oculus, and with a Facebook, at the helm of that channel, you can see how that can, fast become a consumer favorite, which is something that developers and operators will need to cater to. Aside from that, there's going to be further merging of the line between real money gambling and social gaming. Ultimately, the only difference between the two is the fact that in real money gambling, you have the cash out option, which isn't available to you in social gaming. But what we've seen so far is that social gaming is that much further ahead of real money gambling in terms of providing an entertaining experience. But I do believe that going forward, we're going to see real money gambling borrow more and more from the social gaming realm. One of the ways in which that is happening, apart from the playability angle, is through the use of data. Data is probably the biggest trend that is going to hit mobile gambling going forward from today and into the medium term, the next 2 or 3 years. And data is really important in terms of enabling operators to better target their customers and reducing their customer acquisition costs, and also to better target the products that they want to target at their existing customer base, increasing the lifetime values that they're able to achieve. And in a world of the post point of consumption tax, where we've actually seen marketing budgets squeezed, it's really important that operators are able to make the most of their marketing spend and increase the return on investment of that marketing spend, and that is going to be done through their manipulation of data and the insights that they're able to garner from that. Finally, all of these things, whether that's the innovation on the hardware side and developing for that, on the game playing side and the integration with social gaming, or on the data side, all of these things require R&D dollars to be spent. And in order to overcome this, what we're seeing is an increasing amount of consolidation in the industry. We expect that to continue going forward into the medium term as companies look to pool their resources in order to give themselves the financial clout required to stay ahead of the game and continue to win in the mobile gambling space.